meeting yourself deeper is getting to know yourself in an undefined way. Undefined way. That is the topic of today. Unconditioned intimacy. Unconditioned intimacy is your most highest absolute self. Is being with yourself undefined. Yes, it is possible to meet oneself undefined, to be with oneself undefined. And on the opposite, of which we will also speak of today, is the bondage, is the entanglements, is the identities and ideas and fantasies and conditionings, limitations, twisted realities, on what intimacy truly is. Somehow intimacy is very much interlinked with sexuality. Although unconditioned intimacy has nothing to do with sexuality and sexual energy, but since these are so intermingled together, I was really drawn today to speak of this bondage of sexual identity. So also today, as part of the planetary healing, we will also work on a global level on healing exactly this bondage, this distorted energy that all humanity has been totally ingrained to function from a certain vibration of sexual energy. So we can see very clear how the sexual aspect of survival is actively around us in all life forms. Here we speak of instinct, an instinct to survive. A basic instinct, so deeply ingrained and programmed within us. It also is connected with the fear of death, fear of losing. So as opposition of that is the survival mechanism to survive the species. But somehow that is totally intermingled with so many other aspects. and that within itself, it is also a root cause of suffering. The need of something, the wanting of something, creates instant suffering. So this is one big mechanism within this human being that we can reflect a bit upon. So ending suffering. Ending suffering. Suffering of desires. The moment there is a desire, in that instant moment, one is creating suffering. So this is why first phrase we spoke of is unconditioned intimacy, which that goes beyond any desire, beyond any want, even beyond the mechanisms of the survival instinct. That is how even deeper it is, the freedom it is, even beyond the mechanism itself. So ending suffering is being unbound. Unbound even by sexual energy and any definitions around that. And yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible to break free from all these bondages that we hold and we live our day to day with on so much deep levels inside of us. So also what we are very much aware of is our Western culture in particular, as we have worshipped so much this sexual power. We have seen this bombardment imprinted in our psyche, in mainstream media, in all commercials, in any billboards you see as you drive, in any fashion industry, in any beauty industry, in any fantasies of relationships, how we ought for them to be, in the movies, in all the movies we see, there is an undertone of bondage, which created this desire to worship sexual power. It is everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's this imprint, subtle imprint, that's always there. So no wonder, as this human race for a few good 100 years, it passes through our ancestors from generation to generation, embedded in our DNA structure so deeply imprinted to worship and even become slaves of sexual energy, to gain some form of sexual power and recognition. And it is a bit sad, but in the now, things are changing and we are illuminating so much and purifying and dismantling so much of what this distorted sexual energy is. But it's good that we take a moment to reflect on this bondage, because desires are bondages, which they are like self-sabotage. You're like walking around, living your life with chains hooked around you. So it's good that we acknowledge that yes, our sexual energy is a huge force. Yes, it is. It's a very huge force. But this energy has been touched, has been misused, has been abused, has been manipulated for one's own individual power. We are here to heal this huge force. We are here to do exactly that. Now, something which is really important to speak of, because there is a deep conditioning within us as human beings to do something with this force. To do something with it. So, as energy rises, as one feels the sexual energy, there is an impulse, which we think it's natural, but actually it is not, to take action and do something with it. One way is suppression, and that's what the certain religions have taught us, to suppress this huge force. And another way, which is the opposite, is expression of that sexual energy. So in today's meeting, we are not here to judge any of ourselves, but we're here to simply reflect, to simply see a deeper truth, to see how we have been functioning, either by suppressing this force or by expressing this force. Do you see that in both opposite ways, we are doing something with it? That is bondage. So yes, of course, let's speak of sex, because this is where most of humanity can totally engage with when sexual energy is present. So yes, of course, sex is where most people experience some kind of bliss, some kind of release, silence or peace. But within itself, if one is not really seeing behind or beyond this great addiction to do something with that force, one is still bound in the wheel of suffering. It is like a wheel of karma. It's like a trap. Just like that hamster when he's in a cage, living all his life running around that wheel. Doesn't even know anything else beyond that. And this is how deep this conditioning is. The great addiction to do something with that force. And unless you see this, you remain in the wheel of suffering, trap. So if you want to become that unbound, unconditioned being, then this is exactly the point to see. So what can we do? When if we are present, what if we don't touch desire? Whether expression or suppression. Well then, that energy, that force is free, isn't it? It's free to be present, untouched. That is true liberation. So I repeat, what if this energy can be free? Free to be present, untouched. Without taking any actions on it. Actually, this goes on all energies. But this is a big one. Sexual energy, this force, is a big one. And since we have been so deeply conditioned through society, through religions, through our family, even through education, so this is a very big topic, because all we know of is desire. So when we are present with the sexual force, the energy is free to exist without the necessity to either express or repress. You see these it's a dual addiction, a dual way of expressing or suppressing, repressing. But if we allow it to be free, meaning being present with, then that is freedom. You are liberating that force to be free. And that is a more deeper intimacy. When we are not suppressing or expressing, we allow all energies to be free, not bound by any. And of course, many times through this path of exploration and inner discovery, many times we see that if a person has usually suppressed that energy, then when one steps into this, you could say, spiritual path, most of the time you will see that that being will shift that into the opposite way. Becomes very expressive, even finds ways how to express that force. And many times we see that happening in the New Age Tantra, where a lot of people are exploring the expression of sexuality. As I said, I'm not saying that is wrong or that is right, but here we are speaking even deeper than that. That is why I wanted to illuminate it beyond repression and expression into the unbound intimacy. The intimacy that is free of any bondage. So we are not judging expression either. Sometimes it is necessary to counterbalance the deep repression, just to explore and get to know the opposite side. It could also be the other way, where from a very expressive way of engaging with sexual energy, then one might come to a place of celibacy in the spiritual world. One would hold back from any sexual connections, just so they can have the opportunity to discover the opposite. But still, you are doing something with it. Still there is that engaging entanglement. So the way goes beyond this duality. To be free, you must transcend both. You must transcend both sides of the same coin to be free, truly free. And that also liberates the energy itself, which is a very, very deep, very profound, which is very liberating to be free from this bondage.